Naoya Inoue is undoubtedly the most famous Japanese boxer, and every fan of the sport has heard of him. Over the 10 years of his professional career, Naoya has not lost a single fight, and even though he has never met a weak opponent, he has knocked out almost all of them. A unique combination of physical attributes, discipline, and talent helped Inoue become the face of Japanese professional boxing and the embodiment of the dreams of thousands of young fighters. However, such a stunning success cost the ambitious boxer, nicknamed the Monster, a lot of effort. It is no exaggeration to say that he devoted his entire life to his passion. What was Naoya Inoue's path to fame, and how did this ambitious young man manage to become a world champion in 4 weight categories by the age of 28? Today, you will find out. Let's go! Naoya Inoue started his career in professional boxing in the light flyweight category. Crisano Mayo became Naoya's first opponent. This fight took place in November 2012 and ended with a brilliant knockout by Naoya in the 4th round. The next 2 fights with Thai boxer Naoya Inoue and Japanese Yuki Sano also ended in a brilliant victory for Naoya. He knocked out Inoue in the 1st round. But Sano took a little bit longer to finish. The audience waited for the knockout for 10 rounds. With his 4th opponent, Ryoichi Taguchi, Inoue went the full distance for the first time in 10 rounds. Nevertheless, he won by a unanimous decision of the judges, winning the title of Japanese champion in his weight category. Naoya Inoue fought his first 4 fights in the professional ring in just 1 year, and in his 5th fight against Filipino Jerzon Mancio, whom he met in December 2013, he won the vacant OPBF light flyweight title. However, this was only the beginning. The talented 20-year-old, who had already earned the nickname The Monster in a few fights as a pro, had a great future ahead of him and dozens of spectacular fights. And now it's time to see Naoya Inoue's top 10 golden fights and enjoy his fantastic knockouts. Let's not waste any time. The first fight that rightfully earned a place in the top 10 was between Naoya Inoue and Adrian Hernandez. This fight in the ring in April 2014, at the dawn of Naoya's career. From the very first round, Naoya forced his opponent to play by his rules. He started off cautiously, skillfully dodging Hernandez's punches and occasionally landing quick jabs and hooks. But by the middle of the first round, Inoue was in full control of the ring space and seemed to anticipate all of his opponent's punches. He rapidly attacked the champion, mixing punches to the head and body, which always caught him off guard. At the end of the first round, Naoya pushed his opponent to the ropes and worked a lightning-fast series of hooks and uppercuts. In the second round, Naoya also dominated both in terms of the number of punches and their accuracy. In the third round, Hernandez, realizing that he was already losing on points, began to act less cautiously. However, each of his desperate attacks was met with a tough response from Inoue. With each subsequent round, the champion's actions became more and more rash. He paid for several accurate hooks and uppercuts with a brutal beating near the ropes. And near the end of the 5th round, the rivals engaged in a dynamic exchange of blows, during which Naoya hit the champion's head with several heavy hooks. In the 6th round, Hernandez relied on shortening the distance, as Naoya's sweeping hooks had already done him considerable damage. The Mexican's face was bleeding from a cut, so he rushed into close combat with all his might, working mainly on Inoue's body. However, the champion's strategy didn't work. In the last minute of the round, Naoya broke the distance and threw a series of right hooks and left uppercuts, which he finished with a final right hook right to the temple of Hernandez. The champion fell to his knees and was unable to continue the fight, and the WBC Light Flyweight Championship belt went to a new owner. After becoming the champion, 20-year-old Naoya Inoue set a record for the fewest fights he had on his way to the title. In September 2014, Naoya defended his WBC Light Flyweight belt in a grueling fight with Thai Samartlek Kokitkem, whom he managed to knock out in the 11th round. But in December of the same year, Inoue gave it up to fight for the WBO Junior Bantamweight title. The champion in this weight category was Omar Narvaez, who was already 39 years old at the time. He had more than 4 dozen fights behind him, half of which he won by knockout. However, Omar's experience did not deter the ambitious Inoue. As soon as the bell rang, Naoya began to probe his opponent with short jabs. Inoue quickly managed to find the weaknesses in Narvaez's defense, and at 30th second of the first round, the champion was knocked down by a right hook from Naoya. Narvaez got up, but within half a minute the situation repeated itself. This time the Japanese lightning-fast left hook worked. Skillfully alternating single punches to the head and body, Naoya controlled his opponent throughout the first round. At times, he pushed Omar to the ropes and landed a series of 2 or 3 hooks and uppercuts, taking advantage of the fact that his opponent could not escape. The champion also had a tough time in the second round. Less than a minute later, he was on the verge of a knockdown again. Narvaez staggered from a heavy left hook by Naoya, after which the Japanese fighter rushed to finish off his opponent. Omar was saved only by the fact that he managed to break the distance in time. In the middle of the second round, Naoya once again humiliated his experienced opponent with a knockdown, catching him with a counter left hook. And a few seconds before the end of the round, Inoue pinned Narvaez against the ropes and threw several series of punches. He finished the last of them with a powerful hook, forcing Omar to the canvas for the 4th time. This was a knockout. Naoya Inoue not only physically, but also mentally destroyed a reputable opponent, becoming the new WBO Junior Bantamweight champion. Over the next 2 years, Naoya managed to make 4 title defenses. First, he knocked out Warlito Perines in the second round. Then he defeated David Carmona by unanimous decision. And he finished his last 2 contenders for the belt, Pechbarnborn Kokitkem and Kohei Kono, in the 10th and 6th rounds. It was becoming increasingly difficult for Naoya to find worthy opponents. The champion persistently sought a fight with 4-division champion and WBC champion Roman Gonzalez. However, Gonzalez chose Carlos Cuadras as his opponent, as he thought the fight with him was more favorable. Instead, Inoue got the ambitious Mexican, Ricardo Rodriguez. This fight took place in May 2017 and gave boxing fans a real treat. The hot Mexican temperament of Rodriguez clashed with the cold and rational mind of Inoue. Throughout the first round, Naoya provoked his opponent, trying to force him to take impulsive actions. He was hitting Ricardo with single hooks and crosses, forcing him to let his defense down. Several times, Naoya landed long series of punches and occasionally worked as the second number, countering Rodriguez with hard hooks and uppercuts. In the second round, the Japanese fighter relied on a single heavy punch with a pull-up, which saved him from his opponent's counterattack. And at the end of the second segment, he finally managed to anger the challenger and landed several heavy hooks, taking advantage of his carelessness. It seemed like a few more seconds, and Rodriguez would be on the canvas. However, he was saved by the bell. At the beginning of the first round, Naoya's precise left hook made his opponent stagger. A few seconds later, the monster knocked Rodriguez down with a hard hook. As soon as the Mexican got up, he was caught up again by Naoya's left hook, which was the last one of the fight. Inoue's fifth title defense ended with another brilliant victory. After a relatively easy and colorful victory over Rodriguez, Naoya continued his winning streak. In 2017, he defended his championship twice, defeating Antonio Nieves, whose corner threw in the towel after the sixth round. And Yoyan Boyo, who was knocked out 4 times on his way to a technical knockout. At the beginning of 2018, Inoue got a chance to fight for the WBA regular bantamweight championship with its then owner, British boxer Jamie McDonnell. The long-awaited bout took place in May of that year and became one of Naoya's best fights. Inoue quickly figured out McDonnell's tactics and launched an effective attack in the first minute of the fight. Pinning the champion against the ropes, alternating between hooks and uppercuts to the body, he landed a series of nearly a dozen lightning strikes. But that was only the first wake-up call. Less than a minute later, Naoya nearly knocked Jamie out with a perfect left hook. And then after a few seconds, he finished the job with a right hook, scoring his first knockdown. McDonnell got up, but spent less than 10 seconds on his feet, during which Naoya was breaking him down near the ropes. Jamie's fatal shot was a left hook by Inoue, after which he was unable to get up. It took Naoya less than 2 minutes to knock out and take the championship belt from the famous Briton. After becoming a world champion in the third weight category, Naoya decided to take part in the World Boxing Super Series. In October 2018, Inoue defeated Juan Carlos Payano in the bantamweight quarterfinals, breaking his own record for the fastest knockout. Naoya finished his opponent with a right cross at 1 minute and 10 seconds of the first round. In addition, in this fight, he defended his new WBA regular bantamweight title for the first time. Emmanuel Rodriguez became the next opponent of the Japanese fighter in the WBSS semifinal. Emmanuel and Naoya were the same age and had almost identical records without a single defeat, so it looked like Rodriguez could cause Inoue some problems. However, the monster did not disappoint. From the very first seconds of the fight, Rodriguez was working as the number one and completely controlled the center of the ring. However, at the end of the first minute, Naoya broke through his opponent's defense with an incredibly accurate right hook, which marked the beginning of a dynamic exchange of blows. Rodriguez was fast and constantly trying to push Inoue to the ropes. However, Naoya did not give his opponent the opportunity to impose his game on him. He got out of Emmanuel's trap and attacked him with a series of multi-level strikes. Instead, Naoya was able to take most of Rodriguez's punches on the block. In the second round, Naoya came out with a determined intention to finish the fight. He immediately exchanged punches with his opponent and shook him with several heavy hooks. The last of these punches landed right on Rodriguez's chin and instantly knocked him to the canvas. But as soon as he got up, Inoue knocked him down again with a right uppercut. The end of this fight was not long coming. In a few seconds, Inoue finished his opponent, pressing him against the ropes. The last straw for Rodriguez was Naoya's left hook, after which he fell for the third and final time. After this fight, Naoya Inoue added the IBF and Vacant Ring Magazine Bantamweight Championship belts to his collection. In November 2019, Inoue fought against Filipino boxer and WBA Super Bantamweight champion Nonito Donaire at the WBSS Bantamweight final. The experienced Donaire, who had almost 50 fights in the professional ring, managed to become one of the few truly difficult opponents in Naoya Inoue's career. In the first round, the fight was even. Several dynamic exchanges of blows warmed up the audience and showed that this fight would keep them in suspense until the very end. And it was true, because already in the second round, the ringside passions were running high. The rivals mercilessly shot each other with heavy hooks to the head and hard uppercuts to the liver. After one of Donaire's punches, a serious cut formed under Inoue's right eyebrow and blood began to pour into his eye. But Naoya continued the fight, paying no attention to his injury. In the fifth round, Nonito already had problems. At the end of the round, he was staggered by a heavy right hook from Inoue. After that, Naoya pressed him against the ropes and began to finish him off, alternating right and left hooks. The bell saved the Filipino from the inevitable knockdown. This episode made Donaire very angry. In the next few rounds, he seemed to set out to inflict as much pain as possible on Inoue. Meanwhile, Naoya's eye was bleeding from the cut he received in the second round. However, he did not think about stopping the fight. In the ninth round, Inoue had a particularly tough time. One of Donaire's powerful hooks almost put him on the canvas. Naoya finished this round with a broken nose and an even more bloody face. However, in the 11th round, he managed to recover. In the second minute of the round, Naoya landed a left hook to Donaire's liver. In pain, the Filipino just fell to his knees and got up only on the count of 9. The final round of this fight was like a test of survival for both opponents. Inoue and Donaire staged a real massacre. And in the last seconds of the final round, they exchanged several powerful hooks that seemed to easily knock them down. At the end of this legendary fight, the audience gave a standing ovation, while Nonito and Naoya hugged each other in relief and thanked each other for this grueling fight. Inoue won by unanimous decision. In addition to the WBA Super Bantamweight Championship belt, he also received the main prize of the WBSS, the Muhammad Ali Trophy. In addition, Inoue vs. Donaire was recognized as the Fight of the Year by Ring Magazine. Naoya is not yet 30 years old, and he has already achieved much higher results than most boxers in their entire career. His speed, strength, and incredible knockout potential are admired by his fans and feared by his opponents. So let's wish Naoya Inoue even more victories and enjoy his incredibly spectacular fights. Subscribe to our channel and enjoy the best episodes from the world of mixed martial arts. And don't forget to like and comment. Help us make our content even better. We'll see you in the next video.